There is a warrior inside of all of us. It's time to find that warrior and trust your inner self. I am Megan Bryan, and this is Moments with Me, Island Sweetheart.
Hi everyone, we are here with my soul sister, my Aquarius sister, my fire priestess sister, and honestly my all-around role model in life. JeT'aime Cheree, right? Is that what you're going by now?
JeT'aime Cheree, yeah.
And
First and middle name.
Yeah, her media is going by, so definitely want to push that out there for her. She has so many exciting things to talk about, and I want to talk a little bit about so many of the things that you've done. So, JeT'aime, I think we are like distant cousins.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't even know where on the lineage we exactly connect, but we are cousins. But to me, we're like sisters.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I remember reaching out to Jay when I was very, very young, probably like 10, 11, about modeling. And I have modeled for Jay for her company, L Models, and Dreamcatcher Models, and so many of her personal projects. So, oh my gosh, just so much has come from that, those little projects that are now huge, huge things. She has been Miss Earth.
Miss Earth Virgin Islands, yes, 2007.
Wow, and then she owns Sugar and Spice. They actually have a location in Yacht Haven Grand St. Thomas. They also had a location in St. John at the Westin, which was powerful. I got to work for them when they first opened.
We were very lucky.
Yeah. What else? We have Sage, which is where we are right now. I want to talk a little bit about Sage for a moment. This is huge for me, and I think for Jay. This is all about healing and what we are here for, our purpose, and what we're really meant to do, our path. So I want to talk about what inspired you to do Sage, and I know there's so much that comes from that, so take your time and share what you're willing.
Sure. Well, Sage Sanctuary is first and foremost a healing community. It is a container for people who are seeking, who are awakening, who are questioning, who are pursuing their passions, their purpose, their path in life. In the physical sense, we are a crystal shop, we are an apothecary, we hold all kinds of events. We do sound baths and breathwork sessions and yoga, and we have amazing healers that have chosen to call Sage Sanctuary home. Healers that offer sessions like astrology readings, natal birth charts, past life regression, tarot reading, oracle reading, Reiki healing, chakra balancing, channeled and mediumship readings, psychic and intuitive readings. We even have a really amazing session called Spirit Guide Conversations.
I've done it,
Yeah, absolutely amazing. Angelica, who is my absolute best friend and my co-owner for Sugar and Spice Salon and Spa. She does a channeled and mediumship reading where she brings in your ancestors and your lineage and your spirit guides and any energies that are swirling around you that have messages and guidance and support for you at that time. We have such a beautiful community of people that are so deeply passionate about being of service to the collective, being of service to the awakening at this moment in time.
Especially at the age of Aquarius, the golden age.
Absolutely.
We're both Aquarians, by the way.
We are the revolutionaries.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so Sage Sanctuary really is a place where my deepest wish was that when people entered into this sanctuary, they took a deep breath and realized that they were home.
I totally feel that. I mean, Sage has been a huge catapult into my healing. So yeah, I'm thankful for Sage, and obviously it is a part of the purpose because we're here now.
Absolutely.
So definitely wanted to touch on that. You also just went to Hawaii to become an herbalist?
So I'm studying herbalism, which
Okay.
I'm sure is going to be a lifelong study. I'm an initiate of herbalism, and yes, I was living in Maui for about 3 months, and then I was in Kauai for a bit as well, which is just one of my favorite places in the world, and just really immersing myself in the land, in Pachamama, in Gaia, and really devoting myself to the ways of our ancient civilizations, our ancient teachings, the mystery schools of our lineage. I do consider myself to be on the priestess path, and
For sure.
that is
You
a
are.
path of coming home to ourselves, coming home to the fact that we have connections to the earth, to the stars, to all of the elements, the alchemical marriage between our divine feminine and our divine masculine, and really coming home to inner balance and our inner consciousness, our inner awareness, and really becoming connected with the fact that we are completely divine. We are not just a spark of the divine, but we are innately made of the god and the goddess. And so I think when I say I'm studying herbalism, I am studying my connection to the origination of my God self, and coming back to all of the elements that make up our divinity.
Wow, that's profound. I can touch on that because things that you have recommended for me, I've used for my own personal healing, and I'll do a whole nother topic on that another day. But yeah, I think it's a healing also. So that's what I love. It's a huge part of Sage. I want to also talk about, you've hosted for a few things. One of them is Taste for Two Islands. Jay is multi-talented, I think.
Just like Megan.
There's nothing that she can't do. You know, I could go on and on and on. So I know that you've hosted, you've done commercials, you've done video shoots, you have produced video shoots, you have casted talents, including myself. So can you touch a little about like those journeys and just the people you've met?
Sure. Well, I grew up here on the Virgin Islands. I'm a 5th generation Virgin Islander, Frenchie massive. And I moved away from here when I was 13. My mother lives in California, and
You went to school there, right?
I did go to high school from 9th grade on, and a little bit of college in San Francisco. But I originally moved to Los Angeles. I would go visit my mom in the summers, and she would always encourage me to do model searches and talent searches, and it was really fun for me. And I did one that was for Wilhelmina, and it was a talent search, and I got chosen. And essentially my prize was a contract with Wilhelmina, and I was like, oh, but I live in the Caribbean, and I'm just here hanging out. And I ended up moving to Los Angeles, living in a model house at 13, and trying that life out. Really,
with other girls, other models. That could be fierce.
It was, it really was, and also was such a beautiful opportunity for me to become fiercely independent. And at a young age, I know you are cultivating the movement of the feminine warrior, and I think that was the beginning of my journey with that. And at a certain point, I started. My mom lived in San Francisco, so I would go back and forth between San Francisco and LA, and then I ended up
beautiful places.
Wonderful, I really ended up loving the Bay and San Francisco.
Everyone says that.
It was amazing. And going to high school in, I went to Deer Valley High, go Wolverines, and it was the biggest high school in California at the time. There were over 3,000 kids in my senior class. And I'm coming from a classroom of 28 and going into what really looked like a college campus to me for high school. And it was wonderful, and I felt like it was a whole new world. It opened up such a big portal for me to explore. And coming from the modeling background, when I finished high school, I went to San Francisco State for almost a year and a half, and I was studying theater, kind of a natural progression from modeling.
Did it too?
And loved it, but also knew that it was not going to be my path. I ended up moving to Miami, and I studied fashion design at the Institute of Art and Design, which was wonderful. And I came home for a summer and created a swimwear line, Glam Gal Swimwear, which was wonderful. And then I ended up going to New York and studied cosmetology. I had started my cosmetology apprenticeship here in the islands, and which was absolutely wonderful, but also wanted continuing education. And so I went to New York and came back and started Sugar and Spice Salon and Spa with my best friend Angelica Carby. Shout out to Angie, Mama Bear.
Love Angie.
And that was, 16 years ago now.
I'm gonna stop you because I haven't even got through my list of things you did. Like, you would think she's 100 years old. I mean, did you hear what everything you just said? That was a whole beautiful list of things that people don't even achieve half of that in a lifetime. And I'm not even through my list.
Thank you.
Yeah, you need to really, true warrior here.
Thank you.
So I'm going to stop you and fast forward into some other parts.
Yeah.
So you actually had a makeup line.
Yes.
In addition to your bikini line, Glam Squad.
Yes.
Right? Beautiful makeup. I still use it. I
Yay.
still have some of the products. Yeah.
Yeah, we would sell that in the salon.
Yeah.
So, we still do, actually.
Again, another thing, people take like a lifetime to just start, something like that. You are a certified brow technician. Is that the right terminology?
A microblading artist.
Yeah. She did mine a while back. We might need to resurface that at some point. You've been featured in multiple magazines. I wanted to touch on that for not even one talent, for multiple talents, for your titles, for your talents, for your modeling, for your makeup work, for your businesses. I believe Sugar and Spice was like top in the Caribbean for some time. I mean,
we're in the top 5% of bridal salons between the US and the Caribbean for the past 11 years.
Wow. And you don't just do, at the salon, you guys,
we travel.
all of your girls go to locations, you go to locations.
Travel on site, we go to any of the islands. We've done a lot of stateside weddings.
Yeah, you've traveled a lot.
I have a wedding this year in Czech Republic and another one in Maui, Hawaii. I'm
Marie?
so glad to go back to Maui.
Is it Marie?
It is Marie.
I think I'm going to.
Yes.
Now the carnival's not happening.
Yes.
Yeah. And then another thing, we actually did fire training together, and that was really powerful and magical, and I think a part of our healing. And then I just had a reading myself with JeT'aime for Akashic Records, which is a huge spiritual tapping into there, and I can tell you it was quite moving for me.
Thank you.
You want to touch a little bit on those things?
Sure. So I like to call myself an Akashic ambassador. And what that really means is that I can tap into the Akashic Records. And my definition of the Akashic Records, and this will vary from probably person to person, but for me, the Akashic Records is an etheric library that contains the information of everything that ever was, everything that is, and everything that will ever be. It traverses paradigms, dimensions.
Quantum physics, right?
Yeah, it quantum leaps through portals and through lifetimes, past, present, future, galactic, underworld, all of it. And I like to explain it that, let's say you're at a stop sign and you make a left turn. The Akashic Records would hold everything that would encompass what happens at that left turn and what happens afterwards, but it would also encompass everything that would have happened if you had gone straight, or if you had gone right, or if you had turned around and gone home. Ooh. And with that being said, it encompasses all of that information, but I don't necessarily get, I'm sure it would be quite overwhelming if I got all of that information at one time.
Have to do it and
spread
out.
Exactly. Yeah. The record keepers are really beautiful in the way that they bring the information. And I like to tell my clients when they're having a reading that this is not a psychic reading session. It is a session from your highest guides that will give you information on what you need to know right now in this moment. I always ask my clients to come with specific questions and we can touch on those. but oftentimes it's what you need to know and maybe not necessarily what you want to know.
And sometimes that's where the healing begins, right?
Exactly.
It's going into what you're not ready for.
And really maybe what you don't even know you're asking. It sometimes will give you answers to questions that you haven't even asked.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the really beautiful thing. And that's just one facet of readings that we offer here at Sage. I mean, if you are looking for a specific, direct, focused, this is what I want to know kind of session, we offer that too.
Yeah, mediums, I've done that here as well.
Yeah, mediums, intuitive, psychic, channeled, and you know, just kind of bringing in all of the information in, you know, one open portal. That's definitely something that many of our healers offer. And it's been such a beautiful experience to witness this community coming together and realizing how much power and strength and abilities and skills and literally like just the supernatural essence that we hold here.
And we're stronger together. Like, I realize that everyone has something
Absolutely.
to bring to the table, especially in the Sage community, and everybody has something to offer.
Yeah.
There really is no limit. It's not even the sky anymore. It's the dimensions. The paradigm is changing.
Yeah, it's so far. It's so infinite what it is that we can accomplish in sovereignty and absolutely as a collective. So
I'm gonna dive a little deeper. I'm actually glad though that you touched into the Akashic Records, because I feel like that with 2021 more and more people have been talking about it, and I'm like, well, how do I define this? You know, people haven't even come to me. That was that perfect stop sign definition, I think, really gives a good imagery of how big and how grand the scheme of
there's
it is.
really not even like a way to describe it in its
can't be put in a box.
entirety. Yeah. It's
our words don't
exactly. It's literally limitless, exactly what you said.
So my first depth question, and we could go on, I think there's so much we still miss that Jay has done in this lifetime, and she's still very young.
Very young. Very, very young.
Okay, so what I really want to know, and I think what the community and the people want to know, because I know so many people who know you, is where does your drive, your motivation, your dharma comes from? And if you can touch a little bit on dharma too, because we're very spiritual, so I want you to, you know, touch on that as a whole.
Certainly. My drive. Whew. Well,
you've always been driven.
I have. And I think that's kind of the common thread that, well, amongst many common threads that we share. I have always been 10 steps ahead.
Yes.
And sometimes 20, sometimes 30. And
as you guys can tell, I would say 50.
And it's often been told to me to slow down. Yeah. I've often heard from people, you're doing too much, you're moving too fast, you have so much on your plate. Yeah. And for me, slowing down and reversing has been detrimental to...
It's not who we are.
It's not. And in the last couple years, I've been really interested in human design. And my human design is known as a manifesting generator. And I got a really wonderful reading by a lady named Betsy Batista, who doesn't live here, but she's phenomenal. I highly recommend her. And she said to me that all of your energy comes from within your solar plexus, which is your seat of power. And you have more energy than 80% of the people on the planet. Manifesting generators bring all of their energy into their body, and they have to keep going. These are the people that will be 20 steps ahead and are already thinking 20 steps further ahead.
You're not meant to slow down.
No, and she said that if you don't use this energy, then it manifests as sluggishness, depression, being a hermit.
Oh, I can relate to that.
So it's like you have to utilize the energy that is inherent to your essence. And that looks like quantum bending time. And it looks like being able to do a lot more than other people may think is possible. But if there's anybody that can do it, you can. And this, I only had this reading maybe a year ago, and it was such an eye-opener to me, because a lot of times I would ask myself, gosh, am I moving too fast? Am I doing too much?
Absolutely not.
Am I hopping from things to things? And for me, it's like I need to build it, and then I need to move on. I need to build it, find somebody to steward it, and move on. And
I think the same way. That's so funny.
and yeah, I think that once I got that information, which really I think was a message from my guides to say, this is how you were built. This is what you came into existence for. You are that person who can do multiple projects at a time and be able to overview all of them. And yes, are you going to miss some steps sometimes? Certainly. And you might have to go backwards and do a few things, but that's okay, because you might go back, do those things, and those few things that you missed are going to actually set you up for the steps that you are 20 steps ahead. And so it was just a really beautiful revelation for me to understand that that is my speed. My speed is quantum, and utilizing people who are on the same speed and people who are on varying speeds, because that's what we're here for. We're all so unique. We are all so individual, and that's the beauty of it. You and I are similar, but we're not the same.
Exactly.
And that's the rarity. That's the uniqueness that you bring to this blueprint of existence. You know, your architecture is going to be so unique. Your beautiful building is going to be unlike anything else in the universe, and that's what you bring into this. And you are so special and so needed at this time. Your energy is and has been completely destined to be here, because you are needed in this paradigm, in this moment. And so all of these things really relate back to your original question of life purpose, and realizing that my life purpose is of service.
You've helped so many people already. I mean, you really are
Thank you.
the definition of limitless. For those of you who don't know, JeT'aime is French. It actually means I love you. And I think that's what she's going around doing, is just spreading love. Okay, so I'm gonna dive a little deeper. We've touched on so many beautiful things that you've done. And I want to talk a little bit about the warrior in you, because I know you through and through, but for those of you who don't know JeT'aime on a personal level, one, you should. And I want to say it in the right way. You know, you have gone through a lot of traumatic things that I know that you don't even show, and you don't talk about, and you handle in such a powerful and strength way. JeT'aime would smile at you and you would not even know she's feeling an ounce of pain. But she did go through something, I would still say recently, where you were in quite a lot of pain, and I'd never seen JeT'aime so sad in my life. She went through a massive loss, and she lost her other half, Matt. And if you're willing, are you able to touch a little bit on Matt?
Certainly.
And I just want to say that I was working for JeT'aime at the time, very grateful that I could be, you know, there. And I was her neighbor, so I was very close, and maybe it was meant to be that way for that whole journey. And Matt was like a big brother to me. He was also an Aquarian, so big brother, always pushing advice, always there, you know, making sure that smile was on my face. And yeah, I want to touch on that, because I know a lot of your inspiration came from him too. I mean, you were so successful before you even met him, but you guys were a powerhouse couple. He was a lot like you.
Absolutely. I met Matt doing weddings.
I'm not
He
bringing you
was the best man of one of my wedding parties, and we met when I went to a villa to do a trial run for a bridal hair and makeup session, and he answered the door, and that literally was it. He was here on vacation in the Virgin Islands, and we met.
Connection spark.
And he asked me to be his date for the wedding, which was 3 days later.
That you did makeup on.
Yeah, I did the makeup, went home, changed, came back, was his date.
Wow.
He was supposed to be leaving on a Monday. The wedding was on a Saturday. He ended up staying a couple extra days on his trip, and we fell in love within 3 days. He moved down to the Virgin Islands a month later, and we moved in together, and we were engaged 6 months later and married a year after. And it was as perfect as it gets. And relationships and marriages are always going to be work to keep it
Listen.
beautiful and to connect deeply. You are constantly evolving together and individually. And my husband was extremely talented in every area of his life. And he was a music producer, and he owned a jet ski company.
Through water sports.
And
still have his shirts.
yeah, an advertising company.
Yeah.
And I mean,
I
so
worked
many
with music
things.
videos with both of them, actually.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, so many things. And yeah, it's
just like you.
So many things.
It was limitless.
Yeah, we were
is the word.
we worked very well together in the sense of we were always building on top of our dreams with each other and helping to lift each other up to realize our worthiness and our deservedness of every desire that we want to accomplish in this world. And my husband died suddenly in his sleep 2.5 years ago, and of no apparent reason. Autopsy revealed nothing. And yeah, absolutely devastating, I'm sure, as you can realize. And what I've come to understand in the last 2 years through much internal work, through much spiritual work, through dark nights of the soul, through rites of passage, through depression, through suicidal thoughts, through travel, through my friends and family supporting me massively, and through my husband coming to me in dreams and meditations and visions and breath work. This has always been my path, and this has always been his path for us to build until a certain point when he would leave me to understand that this was the way that my course was going to be corrected. This was the way that my path was going to be altered to be ultimately of service to myself first and then to the collective, because we really have to work from a full cup to be able to overflow in service to everyone that we meet. And that was not an easy conclusion to come to, and obviously it took me quite some time, but I thank him every day because he's given me strength, he's given me purpose, he has given me courage and perspective, and he has helped me to remember what it is that I have forgotten that I forgot. And that is that we are all gods and goddesses walking around having a human experience.
He was like that even in the human form.
Oh, he was, completely.
Always.
That was.
You are living out the legacy of and I think I did the grand opening of Sage with JeT'aime. I also did Matt's memorial service, and so many beautiful people spoke. I wish we could even just grab that essence, but JeT'aime's doing a beautiful job of saying the amazing person Matt was, and she embodies that as well, because definitely think you guys are one also. So I want to, just touch on that strength. You talked a little bit about traveling and diving into breath work and spirituality, and this whole movement is about being a warrior. You were already a positive person, and you were going, and he was going, and life just stopped you. It was like, and you still pushed through, and you still chose that path, and you didn't have to. No one told you what to do. You're an adult, you can make your own decisions, but you did, and you are the embodiment of what it means to be a warrior, because I really think that a lot of people turn hard and sour and mean, and you were still compassionate and warm and sweet, and not a lot of people are like that. So where did that come from? How did you choose that? How did that guide you? I know you said Matt came to you. Some people would choose to ignore it, but you listened. I want to just dive a little bit into that warrior, because...
Absolutely. I think that grief and these life-changing experiences are an invitation to see what it is that you're really made of, and an invitation to go inward and say to yourself, which way do I want to go? Do I want to go left? Do I want to go right? Do I want to go backwards? Do I want to go forwards? Do I want to go diagonal? What is it? It's a plateau. And you mentioned something earlier that I was going. And yes, I was always this person who was climbing the mountain, who was always looking for the next peak to traverse and to summit. And what this experience was a moment of integration. It was the plateau that I had always feared. And any of my friends will know, oh yeah, you're the mountain climber, but you don't like the rest period. You don't like the plateau. And this was a forced moment of self-reflection and of questioning. What am I doing? Where am I going? Do I want to even be here? And that was definitely a huge moment in my life. And I say this to your viewers and your listeners because I do tend to make it look easy. It's not necessarily, that's not what I'm trying to do. This is just my story. And I will say that there were months and possibly even a full year of complete depression, suicidal thoughts, literal nights where I did not think I was going to make it to the morning. And you know, just,
and I had to shut people out a little bit because it was so dark.
Yeah, and my best friend would say, you know, I didn't know if I would come to your house and find you alive. And you know,
that's hard for me.
Yeah, and my response to that had been, you may not, and I still love you, but don't come look for me. I needed it. I needed to be by myself. I needed to understand what it meant to be so deeply in the shadows, in the depths of despair, and in the dark night of the soul, to understand what I was made of. To understand that in the shadow and in the darkness and in the void between the veils, there is such power and strength and full embodiment of the dark parts of ourselves to be found, and to come out on the other side of that as a balanced light and dark, divine masculine, divine feminine, completely melding and connecting and conversing and communicating with each other, I think was the purpose of this life-changing experience. It was the purpose of my husband. It was the purpose of our soul contract. I needed to experience the very bottom of what we deem the underworld so that I can traverse the very heights of our celestial origins, and then to kind of hang out in the middle and be able to let people know that that we are not one-sided, we're not one-dimensional. We are able to traverse all bits and pieces, all the spaces and places in between, the mystery, the magic, and the myths, the legends, the legacy, all of it. It's all a part of us, and we need to know it. And if we don't know it, if we don't go there, how do we know how high we can go if we don't know how low we've been? And that's a lot of times people are like, I've hit rock bottom, and it's like, great. Now you know the depths of your being.
That's so powerful. Remember that, guys.
Yeah, start to climb the ladder and see what is the highest heights of the celestial origins of where we come from.
That standpoint, you know.
Exactly.
That's where I was.
It's perspective.
Gratitude
sure.
even.
Oh, gratitude in such a huge way.
You don't know what you have till it's...
Absolutely.
Whoa, this is a different perspective.
Yeah, and even every day I'm like, oh man, I could have done better. I could have been better. I could have cooked him more food. I could have given him more foot rubs or rubbed his head, or we could have had more sex, you know, like all of it. There's always going to be that. But underneath and on top and on the sides of that, there's just this overwhelming unconditional love. And I feel him
even now,
all the time. I mean, he's here in this room right now. And he's like,
he loves Sage. Sage is
he's got a Heineken in his hand and he's loving it. So
I hear the voice. It's crazy.
Yeah. So gratitude and appreciation and an undying devotion to keep his memory alive and to continue on the path that I know that we set out for before we even incarnated in this existence. This is my soul contract, and it was his soul contract to lead me to this moment. and continue being my guide and my messenger and sending in guidance and support and keys and codes and whispers in the wind of what it is that's next.
And embodying strength in a beautiful way while doing that all.
Thank you.
Wow. Well, JeT'aime is the type of person who pushes herself, but she also pushes everyone around her to be the very best they can be because she sees the potential in all the souls around her. But you've kind of gone through a transformation yourself with all of that. You're still the same person because I've known you. I don't know if you could become more beautiful, but
Thank you.
you did post something recently on your page, and it was a picture of you in a pageant.
Yeah.
And beautiful photo, gorgeous, on stage with her sash on, and what you wrote is what threw me. You said, I looked at this photo, it popped up, and I laughed. I don't even who I am a decade ago and who I am now. Can you just touch on that? I mean, you said beauty and brains. You're like now this soul. I mean, you're still beauty and brains, but then there's such a depth and layers and texture there that people can see because you've opened up.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That photo was from Miss Universe when I participated in Miss Universe in 2007 as Miss Virgin Islands Universe, and it popped up. I think someone sent it to me and they were like, remember this? And I was like, oh wow. Yeah, I had to laugh because I recognized myself physically, but going back into that moment, I remember trying to conquer platforms of socioeconomic despair and, you know, world events in my bikini and thinking...
And that is huge.
And that's huge,
wow.
You know, but also trying to affect change in a different way. Mm-hmm. And the reason I laughed is because it's so funny. I am still trying to affect change, and it's just not so externalized anymore. Don't get me wrong, I love my bikinis. But it's much more on an internal level, and it's also the reason why I've kind of traversed from doing salon services and being the face of Sugar and Spice into really being not so much in the background, but being the grassroots of Sage Sanctuary.
Your growth for you.
Yeah, and also realizing that the externalization of what this is not who I am on the inside.
Your calling is now here.
Yeah, my calling is to work from a consciousness standpoint now, and from an energy standpoint, and from a inner wisdom. And I like to say that I went from working on outer beauty and perfecting our external appearance to working on inner beauty and really bringing that through, and empowerment. And I think that that is, in one word, what is my service to the collective. Right now, at least. It's empowerment, and it's helping women and men, because both of us need to be uplifted. It's not just about bringing about the divine feminine. It's about bringing about the divine masculine as well. And I read a quote recently that was a really good embodiment of what I feel I'm trying to do. And it said, when women rise as their full goddess selves, we will raise our men as gods as well.
I think I've seen that somewhere.
And I love that. And I feel like, you know, a lot of people say the chicken or the egg. And it's definitely the goddess is first. She is the primordial waters. She's the womb. She is the fertile soup that everything is created from. And when we give our feminine essence to the collective, when we stand tall and affirm our presence, our importance, and our magic and our power and our sovereignty, it allows everyone else to see that, to put us in an exalted position of saying the feminine is the dream. She's the gnosis. She is what intuits what is to be made external, what is to be made physical, what is to be structuralized in the world. This has to happen first. We are, however way you want to put it, the chicken or the egg. We are the first primordial essence, and we bring all of our energy, all of our essence to the forefront, and then the divine masculine takes it and says, I've got it. I see what you see. Let me put this into physicality. Let me create this for you. And this is the balance. This is the dance between our divine masculine and feminine. We have to be strong enough first. We have to feel like we are worthy enough, that we are safe enough, that we are deserving enough to even dream what it is that our desires are, and to know that they are meant to be created in the world. So once we dream it, once we manifest it, once we bring it forth, we speak it, then the masculine, either part of ourselves or the masculine part of the collective, takes that and says, I've got it. I've got it. Let me create this for you. This is how I will create a world of your dreams in physicality, in manifestation, in the real sense of what it is that we're seeing in this 5D world.
Wow.
And so
That's beautifully
that's
worded.
my dharma.
Yeah.
Empowerment and
you picked right back up. You know, you went through your hard spot, but now you just keep going, and it's like, I just can't wait to see what you do next, because I'm always there's so much. I know there's so much you're always working on and expanding yourself. There really is no limit.
Thank you.
So with that, I'm going to ask my last question, because that was all said so well. What is your advice to anyone going through hard times? You've been through loss. Businesses are not easy. Working with people is not easy. I'm sure we could talk about multiple traumas, you know.
Yeah.
Your parents are in a different part of the world. I mean, there's just so much that we haven't even got to touch on, but we are going to speak with JeT'aime multiple times. It will not be the last time you see her. But yeah, what is the advice? What words of empowerment? What is something that you can leave with just people really needing to outlet to be like, well, why should I keep going?
Okay. I always, and not always, but I try to remember that when something is perceived not going my way, when something is perceived as negative, when something comes in out of left field and smacks me in the face, I say, how is this helping me? What is this helping me to learn? How am I growing from this experience?
Yes.
How is this happening for me and not to me?
That's huge.
And I think that when we can reverse the way that we experience life, and we can respond versus react to life, it allows us this moment of integration, this moment of divine clarity that says, oh, okay, this is not what I wanted, but I can see how in a roundabout way this is really making me learn something about myself, or it's bringing me back to an origination point of how I can grow, how I can evolve. And I think that just by changing the reaction into a response, that we are so much more in control of our lives. We're so much more in control of how we manifest things into this world. And my saying, my mantra, I don't know what you would like to call it, but I constantly tell people that we are the source of our own sorcery. We are the potency of our magic. Ooh. And so by changing your story, which we are all capable of doing, by turning it upside down and saying, oh, upside down, this looks like a completely different story for me, and really rewriting what isn't serving us anymore. If something comes in and you're like, this is shit, this is really bad, I mean, step back. Mm-hmm. Take a huge deep breath and say, okay, not what I wanted, not what I was expecting. Is there anything that I'm really not seeing right now where this could be helpful, where this could be an opportunity for growth and evolution? And even
that's what we're here for, right?
Absolutely. And a lot of times we don't realize that when we manifest something or we desire or dream something, the universe is like, that's peanuts. Do you know what I have in store for you?
Oh my gosh, I've learned that so much.
Do you know what greatness you embody? Mm-hmm. Okay, that may not work out, but then look at this grand opening of something here that's so much more than we could have expected. And so I tell people, do not have any limitations. Completely shatter your glass ceilings and realize that everything, anything is possible for you. You are pure, potent magic and the source of your own sorcery. Use it. This is what we're here for.
It's really funny that you said that, because touching on the whole strength thing, you know, I always say it's not what happens to you, it's how you deal with what happens to you.
Yeah.
Like, life is not supposed to be perfect. And
Yeah.
you really just said that in different words, and I was like, that's exactly how I grab my strength. That's where I pull it too. So
Yeah.
hearing that from another warrior, it's like, okay, well, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing, because people forget. And even when we learn it, we have to relearn it.
Yeah.
And, you know, just be reminded, and you worded that perfectly. JeT'aime, thank you so much for sharing your story. I know we have many stories to dive into, not just about ourselves, but about the collective, about the age of Aquarius, about our
Yes.
purpose, our spirituality, and about healing and helping. But JeT'aime is a true warrior, and you're going to be seeing more of her. With so many things that I think we're going to work on together. With that said, we have something for you. Yeah. So this is your warrior shirt because you shared your story. And it matches the brand, but you also have our logo in the back. And JeT'aime and I had a conversation recently, and she's like, Megan, why not? I am Megan Bryan. And I'm like, no, I get it. You know, I get it. And I was like, but you know, it's something in me. And she's like, no, you got to follow what you believe. You got to follow what you believe.
Absolutely.
And so I am, but I was like, I'm going to take that and I'm going to use it. And I am warrior is the hashtag, but with every person who shares their story, they get their own hashtag. And I am JeT'aime is a very powerful thing. So I hope you put it in all of your things, because you're going to have your own following. I am JeT'aime. So here you go.
so much.
Yeah, and give me a hug. Thank you so much. We have to go on like our own angle. I love you. Thank you. And you guys who have watched and stayed with us till the end, thank you. I think if you really took notes, and this could do wonders for you, because people pay for this information. So thanks for sharing it. Please make sure to like, share, subscribe, share it on your social medias, tell people about it, follow the movement, and if you have a story you would like to share, we are here to hear it and be the guides and openings to let you share your story. So, we love you. Bye, warriors.